So, what do I have to report? I said that the next time I was going to report back to you was after I'd test fired it. I haven't test fired it yet. What I'm actually doing is detailing what I've done as far as improving the iron sights, and I'll tell you a few issues that I had in doing that. But first, Živeli, or Prost, or what's Slanjivar, or yeah, whatever. Cheers. Having a lager frenzy. Alrighty then. So, the BA X12 lever release shotgun. And what does it say? It says Uzkanlar Tüfek Sanayi. So if you're from Turkey, you know exactly what that means. I have no idea what that means. Uzkanlar Tüfek Sanayi. Yeah, whatever. Okay. Now, as far as sighting systems go with this firearm, it's drilled and tapped on the receiver, but on the front end it had this. See if I can get a close-up of it. It had that thing, right? So it's got a thread on it. The base has got a thread on it. Now, so it was screwed in the last hole. So it's got two holes now, two drilled and tapped holes. It only had one. It's an M3, so metric M3, this thing, and they obviously made an attempt to glue it. Aside from screwing it in, they obviously got it to where it was straight, in line, and then they glued it. The glue wasn't very good. It would appear that glue does not stick very well to Cerakote, because when I was altering things, I thought, oh no, I've chipped a piece of Cerakote off, but no, it was just a piece of glue that flaked off. So that thing, you know what, if you're going to supply iron sights, I mean I don't know what this is. This is some sort of, here you go, that'll do ya. It's junk. Niowa, no, that's rubbish. Alright, so that's rubbish, really. Now, so as far as front sight is concerned, what we have on there is a, here we go. It's actually the front sight. It's an XS Sights, who I'm a big fan of. It's an XS Sights front sight for a Marlin 1894 or 336 or 95 as well, I think, if I remember rightly. So that's what this sight is. Now, obviously, you're thinking, well, hang on a minute. The barrel on a Marlin is round. The rib, the top rib on this shotgun is flat. What did you do? Well, what I did was I used a linisher and some sandpaper and just flattened it out. Yeah, it wasn't that hard. You know, it isn't that hard. You do. It's really hard to avoid getting it radiused when you've got it on a linisher or when you've got it on the sandpaper, but a bit of mucking around and you can get it flat. It's not perfectly flat, but yeah, so be it. It's okay. It'll do. So I've got a Marlin XS Sights front sight. Now at the back, you might wonder, because what it is a ghost ring. Alright, so well, I'll show you the Marlin, the XS Sights front sight. Okay, so that's off a Marlin 1894 or 336. The rear sight is a ghost ring, and it is an excess sights product as well. It is a ghost ring for all this junk on here doesn't mean anything. What it actually is, it's a ghost ring for a 98 Mauser. I'm not sure which 98, because there's a lot of 98 Mausers, like commercial. Obviously the military ones aren't drilled and tapped, but the commercial ones are, and I can't tell you exactly which one it's for, because I think I originally got it for my my Zastava 458 Win Mag, which is a Mauser 98 clone, but I don't think that the whole pattern was the same, so I had it lying around. So what happened was that I was, you know, when I was looking at this thing, actually what I wanted to do, here we go, what I wanted to do was get my red dot, the brand is Red Dot, and put it on here. Take it off my Adler B220 and put it on here. One problem I forgot, and I realised once I pulled the B220 out and had a look, is that the B220 has a shotgun dovetail, which is, I don't know, some weird size, and that red dot is just, that's all it's got. The mount is for the dovetail, shotgun dovetail, so I couldn't put it on here. So I thought, you know what, somewhere in, because I'm a total shit hoarder, somewhere I must have something that I can put on here that is going to be better than that thing, which is just, yeah, it's rubbish. So I've front sight, I've got a box with excess sights gear in it, and I found the Marlin front sight, and I found the Mauser 98 rear sight. Now the Mauser 98 rear sight is not exactly the same radius that's on here, but very, very, very close. Like, I mean, really, 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 I can't, can I see any daylight between there? Oh, a little bit, just a little bit. It looks like it's exactly the same radius, but on the ends, it seems to be like, there seems to be a lip or something. So it wouldn't, I'd just have to wrap a piece of really fine sandpaper, emery paper, and just run that a few times, and it would be perfect. But for the sake of testing, just getting it on there and being able to shoot it and test it, I'm just going to have it on there like that. Now, one of the issues, if you are interested in doing this modification, sight modification, or installing any sort of sights, the grub screws, those screws, right, and there were two in there, they were, well, they are, well, those two are, still are, they're Loctited in, right, and I mean really seriously Loctited in, because I had to apply one of them, and I'm using a proper precision ground, no, that's not the one, but a hollow ground screwdriver, right, a proper screwdriver, not some half-assed screwdriver, right. So I was using the proper, because it's a slot, just a slot screwdriver, grub screw. I was using the proper screwdriver, and I almost boogered one of them. I slipped, because man, it was that tight. One of them, yeah, I got undone without applying heat, but the second one I had to apply heat, yeah, because a few times. Like, I had to get it pretty darn hot, and I was really sort of worried about marring the Cerakote finish, but this is quite obviously really, really tough, because it didn't even leave a mark, which I was sort of surprised about. I thought if I have to apply that much heat, and I had to apply a lot of heat, a lot of heat into that screw to get it loose. Yeah, yeah. So this is the only firearm that I've ever had where those grub screws were Loctited in. Now, if Niowa watch this video, please tell the Turks to stop Loctiting those screws. There's no need for it. Okay, like and if they, because that screw, like, there's tolerances between the actual screws and the thread. Sometimes the tolerance is really loose and then the screws just fall in. Sometimes, yeah, they're tight. Well, the tolerances are really tight to begin with, so there's really no need to Loctite those screws in, or at least let the customer know those screws are Loctited in. If you want to get them out, do it at the gun shop. Get the gun shop to do it for you. Say to them, so if you buy one of these and you're at the gun shop, tell them, and you want to mount an optic, you tell them, you get those screws out for me, alright, and see how they go, because unless they're aware that they're Loctited in, I reckon they're going to stuff them and they're going to have to drill them out, because I've seen it before. Okay, so anyway, that's the screws. So we've got a Marlin 94 front sight, a Mauser 98 ghost ring at the back, and yeah, those screws are Loctited in. So again, if you want to get an optic, and most people will, because that piece of shit thing, that ridiculous excuse for a front sight is totally inadequate, in my opinion anyway. I don't know, you might think it's alright. As a shotgunner, you think just a bead at the front is fine, whatever. I don't. I'm not a shotgunner. I don't know squat about shotguns, okay? This is only the second shotgun that I've ever owned. So, I don't know anything about shotguns. But I can tell you right now, because I'm going to be shooting, the first thing that I'm going to put through this thing is these things, which are Clever Professional Ammunition. Yeah, it's clever. Not only is it clever, but it's professional ammunition. Since 1952, right. So Clever has been around since 1952. I've never heard of it. Coated slug, Pro-Dynamic. Pro-Dynamic. That could mean anything. What a crock of shit. Well, no wonder. Made in Italy. Yeah. World records in all, just 25 world records in all disciplines. Really? So, no shit, it says here, world records in all disciplines. Wow. Considering that these guys have got world records in all disciplines, how is it that I've never heard of them? Italians. They make me laugh. And hey, my in-laws are Italians. And, well, my sister's in-laws anyway. And I live in an Italian town. Yeah. Every second shop front it ends in an I or an O in this town. So these, first thing I'm going to shoot through is these Coated Slug Pro-Dynamics Mirage. Okay, it doesn't say Mirage on there. No, even more hype. Mirage. It's a Mirage. Okay. So, what's it saying here? Clever Mirage. Okay. 12. You know, it's 12 gauge. Like, you'd have to be pretty thick not to figure out that a 12 gauge is different from a 20 gauge or a 410, you know. Yeah, anyway, so I'm going to be shooting these things through it. So, considering that I'm going to be shooting a single projectile to begin with, to sight this thing in, right, to sight these brand new front sights in, that's why I got them on there, because shotgun slugs are really, really good against pigs. Now, one thing to note is that front sight, the original front sight was just a single threaded, screwed in piece of shit, really. So, but the Marlin 1894 ramp sight, XS ramp sight, has got 2 screws. I'll show you. See that? 2 screws. There's the second one. That's the original. That's the second one. Now, how did that second one get there? Well, cut a long story short, pin punch, well, sort of tapered pin punch. So I screwed, to begin with, it's an M3. There's an M3. I ground one of those, ground the head down to where I could get it in the hole and to the correct length, so I wasn't bottoming out early, and I screwed that in. Then I centered the front sight, and then I got the punch and went punch, and I didn't get it centered straight, so I had to do a bit of modification with the punch hole, but I got it centered straight eventually, or reasonably straight. It doesn't really matter that much. Reasonably straight, using a gauge string. And then I haven't got the drill here, but I drilled it with, because it's an M3, so I drilled it with a 2.5, and then an M3 tap. So I haven't destroyed this tap, but what I had, because this was when you buy a tap and die set, they're all #1 taps, so they're a beginner tap. They're really tapered with a point, so you can start them. Then, but if you buy one size tap and a set, you'll usually get 3 taps. So one that's really, really pointy and tapered, a second one which has got a little bit ground off, and then the third one which is almost flat. And so I just kept grinding it down until I could get the thread all the way down, because I only had like 3.5 mil of depth to tap into. Yeah, so, but I did it. So that's the M3, those screws M3, and these screws M4. It's a European gun. It's got metric screws. Now, why they didn't have the same size, I don't know. Yeah, you explain it to me. I need some beer to try and figure that one out. I would have had M4s all around instead of M4s and M3s. Now, one of the nice things about it being M3 and M4, so 3 mil, 4 mil, is that those sizes are a lot more available than you guys in the United States who are still living in the 19th century, 18th century actually, with Imperial. Seriously, guys, you gotta get into the 20th and 21st century and go metric, because Imperial is just, it's a bit of a joke. Sorry. Anyway, so now one of the issues is sourcing these screws. Where am I going to get an M3 and an M4 from? Well, it just so happens that one of my other hobbies, aside from shooting, is modifying cheap Asian guitars. So what I do, because when you get an Asian guitar from Asia, typically, unless it's from Japan, Japanese guitars are really, really good. If you get a Chinese, a Filipino, any of those sort of, well, generally, usually the Chinese ones, what you'll get is that the actual body and the neck and are fine, right? Everything's fine. The actual meat of the item is fine, but all of the things that are attached to it are usually subpar. So, you know, tuners, pickups, saddles, all of that will usually be subpar. That's where they save the money on really cheap accoutrements. All the ancillaries are really cheap. You know, the electronics and bits and pieces, the metal bits and pieces on the guitar will be subpar. As far as the body and the neck and everything, they're usually pretty good. But so one of my hobbies is to get one of those Asian ones. The guy who actually started me doing that was a guy called Dave's in Texas. So if you're interested in modifying guitars or just guitars in general, electric guitars, look up Dave's in Texas. Fantastic guy, just salt of the earth. Look him up, like really. So anyway, back to the subject at hand. I've modified and improved, because what I'll do is I'll buy usually German, American or Japanese bits, you know, tuners and whatnot, saddles and whatnot, bridges and whatnot, and put them on the guitar and turn it into a... now, along that road, which has spanned quite a few years, I've ended up with a lot of extra screws. So that's where I got the screws from. The M3s, this is off, it's got to be off a bridge, I think, or a pickup. It's probably a pickup screw. So that's the M3s there, pickup screws. And the M4s are, I would say, probably bridge screws. So the M4s are there. So they're off a guitar bridge, Asian. So thank God for the cheap Asian guitars, because if it hadn't have been for them, I wouldn't have had the screws to actually fit these sights on there. Now, check that out. Yeah, is that a joke? Yeah, well, look, you know, that butt pad, I don't even know where it is now. That butt pad is totally inadequate and puts it too short. Right now, man, I tell you what, this thing is, I love excess ghost ring sights. You know, I can't wait, I'm telling you. I am going to the range. Today's Wednesday. I'm going to the range Friday and blast the... Have I got the safety on? I do. I've got the safety on. And blast the No, I don't. Blast the I got to release it. There you go. Yeah. And blast the bejesus out of a, I don't know, cardboard box. Because that's all they're certainly not going to allow me to shoot one of their targets, one of their actual stands with this, because it's going to put 12 gauge holes in it. So I'll have to take some sort of cardboard box or something and sight this thing in. Yeah, I can't wait, eh? I think I've done an exceptionally good job of putting these iron sights on. I'm really proud of that. And you know what? I haven't shot this gun yet, but man, every time I handle it, oh yeah, I'm getting a woody. No, I'm not. I am. Oh yeah, I can't wait to shoot. I can't wait to shoot this thing. Now that I've got the front sights on here, and I don't think I'm going to change anything. Aside from getting that radius, because I don't know if you can see that there is a bit of daylight through there. Yeah, you're not going to see that. No. It's really just the faintest bit of daylight through there. So the radius is not perfect, or it's got like two lips at the sides. But otherwise, man, those front sights, yes, yes, mwah, c'est bon, yeah, c'est bon, c'est bon. Yeah, I don't know how you say excellent in Turkish, but I reckon these front sights, I reckon they should supply them like that with go string and excess go string and front sight that's like from the 1894 from the Marlin. I really do, because at the moment this thing just looks yeah, it looks excellent, and yeah, I can't say man, I gotta wait 2 days to get to shoot this thing, unless my buddy I don't know, because I was going to go out with my mate and shoot it, because he wants to have a go at it too. But the problem is that we have had the biggest rain event of the year 2 days, or a day ago, 2 days ago, a day ago, 2 days ago. Just it absolutely bucketed down. So the biggest rain event of the year, and it's almost May, which is really unusual. It's extremely late for that sort of rain event. So yeah, it's going to be. I'm not going out where he normally takes me to shoot. It'll just be a mud pile. I don't know, maybe a couple of days. It is quite sandy. It's near the beach, so. But one of the other options that I was thinking of is this ramp, which the problem is that it's too thin. If I flattened that out, there would be nothing left of it, and it'd probably be too low. Whereas that Marlin front sight is, yes, c'est bon. So again, what we're talking about is, that's the one, Marlin 1894 front sight. Just flatten that radius out, and excess sights, Mauser 98 peep sight, and it's almost perfect. I've just got to get some sandpaper and get that radius right, which yeah, I'll do later. So I think I've said enough. So to recap, if you are going to put sights on here, be aware that those screws are Loctited in. You know, I mean really Loctited in. Again, I had to apply heat to get one of those screws there out. A lot of heat, like I apply a little bit, try it, nah. Apply more, try it, nah. 4 times I had to hit that with a torch, and the last time I just held it there. But to their credit, this Cerakote has really held up. It hasn't even left a mark. That heat, which would have been really hot, has not even left a mark. So be aware of that. So you've got M4s and M3s. So metric, no imperial. Yeah, the butt pad. So that's an extra large butt pad which I had lying around. That's the only that is the only limb saver that I had lying around. But when I go to, so that's what I'm going to actually use. I know it looks silly, but hey, you know, it's not silly to protect the shoulder. 12 gauge kicks. But when I go to the range on Friday afterwards, I'll go to the gun shop and get a pad that's closer to that, because it's probably, I don't know, 870 size or something like that. Range 870 or whatever. So now when I drilled and tapped that, if you are planning to do the same thing, be very careful and take your time. When I drilled it to 2.5 mil, and then I put the 3 mil tap in, and initially I was going like half a turn, come out, and then so this is, well, it's a snap-on screwdriver. I would stick it in there and get all the chips out, because it's magnetized, and I'll get all the chips out. I'll just keep doing that until there was no chips on the tip. Then I would go again and go half a turn, again, screw it out, put this thing in there, take all the chips out. So I really took my time, because you don't want to screw that hole up. Otherwise it's going to be a nightmare. So if you are planning on doing the same thing, really take your time and be really careful. It's not that critical if the sight is not perfectly, like to within, I don't know, 1,000th of an inch perfectly aligned, but try and get it, and I did. I actually screwed up when I hit it with the punch. I got it out of whack slightly, but what you have to do is just keep hitting that thing sideways and then down, and move that punch hole over, which, having done a lot of that, professionally, I know how to do that. If you don't have an engineering background like fitting and turning, even boiler making, because I'm actually I won't tell you what I am. But if you don't have that sort of background, get a friend who does and get them to do it, or get your gunsmith to do it. It would be really easy for a gunsmith. Just order so the front sight is the Marlin 1894 336 and Camp Carbine .191 ghost ring short aperture. And the serial number is 22-2011A-000-2. So that's the front sight. And the ghost ring, the actual rear ghost ring, is #6 times .605 C to C, comma, ghost ring short aperture, whatever. I don't know what any of that means. The actual serial number is, part number is 22-2015A-058-1. But it's for I'm pretty sure that it's for a Mauser 98, a commercial Mauser 98. Which one? I'm not really, probably the FN Mauser, I think. So anyway, I've prattled on enough. Oh yeah, chokes. One thing I forgot to mention is chokes. Now this had, what is it? Let me have a look here. This had the modified choke in it. Now I plan to shoot these slugs through it, and I don't trust anything but the biggest diameter choke, which is the skeet choke. So that's what I put in there. So if you're going to shoot slugs through it, and I was actually watching what's his name, Buffalo Outdoors, I think he's called, and he did test firing of the different chokes with rifled slugs, and there was zero difference. There was the difference in the groups was imperceivable. They were essentially between 4 and 5 inches. 4 and 5 inch groups at 100 yards. So, look, I think it was 100 yards. So, I don't think that, because I've read somewhere that the improved cylinder is the one to use, because these bores on these things, on these shotguns, can vary a fair bit. So, I put the biggest choke in. The biggest diameter choking, which is a skeet. One thing to note is when you are changing, that spanner is not really a precision piece of equipment. Yeah, it's a bit dodgy. These chokes, they have got really sharp edges. So just watch yourself when you are handling the chokes. They've got some really sharp edges on them. So when you are changing the chokes out, just be aware of that. They haven't deburred them after they've machined them. Like they haven't got dags hanging off, but they've got really sharp edges. Let's see, what else can I say? Yeah, that's it. I've paddled on long enough. But oh man, I cannot wait to shoot this little bitty. It's gorgeous. It's really nice. Yeah. And that trigger is not too bad. It's a lot better than, I have to say that it's a lot better than all the other repeating shotguns. I've not even handled an over and under, so I would assume that those triggers are really good. But as far as the repeating shotguns, yeah, they're pretty crap. But this one's pretty good. It's the pick of the bunch, I have to say, of all the ones that I've tested. And like whenever I go into a gun store, if I see a new shotgun, a repeating shotgun, I'll go, hey, give us a look at that. You know, give us a handle of that. And yeah, I have to say that trigger is probably is probably the pick of the bunch. It's only 4 pounds, around 4 pounds, so you can't go past that. Yeah, excellent. Alright, we'll paddle on enough. So the next video that you will see regarding this shotgun will be me shooting it, finally. Alright, see you later.